Why are Christians often so indifferent towards the poor? Why do we as Christians often pass by conversations about equity and justice for more comfortable topics? How come right now the most fierce advocates for social justice often despise Christians? I believe the main reason for this discrepancy is this, that we have forgotten that justified and justice have the exact same root word. We have forgotten that our understanding of the fact that Jesus has justified us, that he's declared us right and innocent even though we were deserving of wrath and sinful, completely sources the way in which we fight for justice in the hearts of other people. The Bible screams about justice. One verse we can often miss that should predominantly inform our view of justice is Galatians chapter 2. It says this: "Know that a person is not justified by the works of the law, but by faith in Jesus Christ. So we too have put our faith in Christ Jesus, that we might be justified by faith in Christ, and not by works of the law. Because by works of the law, no one will be justified." I love this verse. I call it a triple repeater. And here's why. Because 3 times Paul writes this one truth that's supposed to just ring in our mind over and over again, that no one can be justified apart from Jesus. So we should put our faith in Jesus who justifies, because no one can be justified by their own works, only by the works of Jesus. Here's what justified means. It means that we who were not right, who were wrong and had fallen short of God, have been declared right, innocent, and blameless because of what Jesus has done, not because of what we have done. Here's what it means to be justified: that the righteousness of Jesus, the good works of Jesus, is the same again, root word is justice, has been given to people who had not done good works, so that we could be people who've done good works through Jesus. It means that we've had a radical transformation, and we've gone from being spiritually bankrupt to being spiritually rich. That's what that means. Matthew chapter 5 says that blessed are the poor in spirit. Why are the poor in spirit blessed? Because those who know they're poor in spirit know this, that we have not pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps, but Jesus has pulled us up. That we did not work ourselves out of an incredibly difficult circumstance to get to be who we are. Instead, Jesus worked us out of an incredibly difficult circumstance to make us the women and men that we are. That Jesus didn't see anything great in us to then give money to us so that he would make a good investment that would come back and give him dividends. Instead, Jesus just saw broken people, and because he loved them, he made them spiritually rich. Y'all, what does being justified have to do with justice? Everything. Everything. Because this is what it means. That when we look at somebody who is materially poor, we are looking at a mirror of our former selves. We see someone with tattered clothes, and we remember, like the scriptures say, that our righteousness before Jesus was like filthy rags. And that's how we used to live. But Jesus, because he loved us, not because we were worthy, not because we were thankful or gracious, or we were going to make good decisions with his money that he gave us, his spiritual money, but just because he loved us, he made us alive and he made us right. So, how does our view of justification inform our view of justice? What's the predominant source in which we fight for justice? Here's what James says. James actually says your view of justice and the way actually you engage in justice completely reveals if you have even been justified. This is what it says. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. James says, if you do not do good for people, you are denying the faith that you have. James also says this: religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after the orphans and the widows and their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James, for 5 chapters, is writing over and over again this one fact: our understanding of our justification completely motivates and enables and empowers us to fight for justice. And if we don't fight for justice, it reveals we have a very low view of our justification. How are you fighting for justice right now? Where in your life are you leveraging your resources for other people? Where are you seeing bankrupt people and desiring for them to become rich in hopes that they understand that you have been made spiritually rich? How are you trying to help people who need a helper? Because when you look at people who've been mistreated, who've been marginalized, who've left behind, you see a mirror into your former self spiritually. One author, Tim Keller, says this: one of the main reasons why many of us don't fight for justice biblically is because we don't realize we were ever spiritually poor. Most of us think we were middle class in spirit. And people who are middle class in spirit, well, they worked hard for everything they got. They didn't take handouts. They had to work to get to their position. And I think many of us honestly think that's true not only about our physical means, but about our spiritual means. When Jesus says, hey y'all, I'm a doctor and I've come for the sick. I've come to help those who could not help themselves. And when we realize that truth, that we've been made righteous when we were undeserving, we cannot help but advocate for those who need to be made right, even though they are undeserving. And that's spiritually and that's physically, according to James. So I believe God is raising up people who take all of the benefits of their justification and then use that as their source, as the source to fight for other people to experience the justice that they get to experience through Jesus. And that's what it means to